Vía libre. Puedo seguir el rastro.
¿Ahora me veis? Ahora no me veis. ¡Enemigo recargando!
You know what, guys? It's time. I've actually been requested to do this operator for a while, so let's get into it. It's time we talked about the woman of the hour, the operator who helps keep the wheels turning in Rainbow Six, Elena Alvarez, or Mira, as many have come to call her. When Elena's mother walked out on her family, abandoning her and her little sister to the care of their father, Elena saw that this was her opportunity to take a step forward. It was proven very early on that Elena had a fascination with all things mechanical. After all, when her father bought a doll for both Mira and her sister, she used the doll to play tea parties and dress up and stuff like that. Mira took a knife to the damn doll, opened it up, and tried to find out how it worked. Some parents would see this as an early sign of sociopathy, but instead her father realized Mira was just curious. That's what they all say. But joking aside, Mira followed in her engineering father's footsteps and began studying machines, mechanics, and turned into a bit of a tinkerer. However, she had a strong sense of justice about her too, which led Mira to sign on with the Cuerpo Nacional de Policía. From there, she would have been recruited into the Grupo Especial de Operaciones, or the GEO. And I'm willing to bet I pronounced that very poorly, so all my Spanish-speaking audience out there, please forgive me. In both the police and special operations unit, Mira used her knowledge of vehicles, machines, and ballistics to begin building and designing new gear and equipment, particularly of the bulletproof variety. In 2017, director Harry Panday of the Rainbow Six Siege Initiative extended an invitation to make Mira his director of research and development. And shortly after, he asked her to join in as a combat operative so that she could better test her work in the field. I have my own misgivings about that idea, but we'll get into that later. Through her hard work and through the resources Rainbow provided, Mira began growing rapidly in terms of experience, knowledge, and outlook. She would develop a strong rivalry with Ash, who she saw as her counterpart in Rainbow. Gotta understand, both of these women are natural leaders in their own field, but Ash specializes in how to take down obstacles, whereas Mira specializes in creating obstacles. However, Mira had more than just her operational skills to consider, as Harry asked her to do full evaluations on all of the equipment and gadgets of her fellow operators. This was not a request. Mira's technological skills were second to none, and it was imperative that she be allowed to analyze, assess, and scrutinize any and all gadgets her fellow operators were using. Bear that in mind for later. But things began to take a turn when Nighthaven was recruited to Rainbow Six. Mira had a very unfavorable view towards Nighthaven and their methods and attitude. In fact, she grew a special dislike for Osa, the head of Nighthaven's R&D. As said earlier, it was required that Mira be responsible for assessing all gadgets and equipment of her fellow operators. But Osa was very protective of the equipment on Nighthaven and refused Mira access. Mira petitioned for Harry to force Nighthaven to play by the rules, but Kali, head of Nighthaven, insisted that Osa had everything well in hand. As a genius, Osa didn't need a second set of eyes on her work, and Nighthaven didn't need to share their intel with anyone. Apparently even their own partners. Again, we'll get to that when we get to Osa's video. This infuriated Mira, who saw this as not only a breach of trust, but a slight insult against her capabilities against Osa. The only member of Nighthaven she grew a liking for was Aruni, who she argued had a wholesome attitude that was entirely in conflict with Nighthaven's overall disposition. Now, after the Nighthaven and Raven division, Mira informed Harry she needed time off from field work. Because she was distraught, Nighthaven had full access to their arsenal during their time with them, and after several of her fellow operators had defected, she knew they would tell every dirty little secret Rainbow had to Nighthaven. Their gear, tactics, and personnel were all compromised, while Nighthaven's equipment had been deliberately withheld from them. To ensure that Rainbow didn't fall behind, she had to make sure that everyone's equipment was top of the line and ready for use. Harry gave her his permission, with full confidence that Mira would not be outdone by Osa and Nighthaven. After all, Nighthaven might have a genius in Osa, true, But Rainbow has their own genius, and Mira would never let down her comrades. Now, we'll get into her overall personality and what I think about her later. Let's keep going with the video and we'll discuss all that in the conclusion, okay? I want to get into her gadget. Mira's gadget is the black mirror. She carries 2 during the match, and she can place these on any walls or solid surfaces, reinforced or not. She can look through them and see the other side. As stated, the mirrors can only be viewed one way. At the base of the mirror on the viewing side is a canister that, if ruptured, will drop the bulletproof glass and create a murder hole for operators to shoot through. A few things to know about the mirror, though. 1. While the mirror is bulletproof, meleeing the mirror on either side will shatter the glass, making it impossible to see through. It'll still be bulletproof, but you just won't be able to see out of it. Also, once the mirror is placed, it cannot be removed. So a good strategy with the mirror is to place it on a reinforced section of a wall with a non-reinforced section right next to it to achieve easy kills by shooting through the wall when you see an opponent. Number 2. Always remember that once you drop that glass, it is no longer protecting you. Your opponent can shoot through it just as easily as you can, so be very, very careful before you drop that canister. Believe me, you're not going to want to screw this up. Number 3, keep in mind very carefully that your teammates are working in synergy with you. If they electrify the wall before you can put your mirror on it, you can't put the mirror on it then. However, they can electrify the wall after the mirror is on it. So be careful that you're working alongside your teammates in this situation. The black mirror can also be used at times as a shield for Mira. She can carry around the mirror in front of her like a makeshift shield and keep people from shooting at her directly using it. I've never done this tactic before because I don't trust it at all, but I've seen people do it with limited success, so take that for what it is. Now, in terms of her loadout, she has 2 primaries and 2 secondaries. Her first primary is one that she's famous for, the Vector 45 ACP submachine gun. We talked about this gun with Goyo. It's an absolutely devastating gun in terms of raw fire rate, boasting the best fire rate of any submachine gun in the game. It's very effective at close ranges, but the low magazine capacity means that you will blow through bullets very quickly. Couple this with a recoil that gets worse the longer you hold down the trigger, the Vector can be a very unreliable mistress. It's suggested to use control burst fire, and this is just my overall advice when shooting with this weapon, or with any weapon in Rainbow Six Siege. That extra time you take to line up a shot can mean the difference between winning and losing the exchange. If you just burst off suddenly, not only will you run out of ammo really quickly, but odds are pretty good you will not kill the opponent. Take that extra half second to aim, okay? Trust me on this.
Last operator standing. Friendly's victorious. Hostiles eliminated.
Next is the ITA-12L shotgun. An ideal shotgun for close and mid-range engagement. It has strong damage output per pellet, a pretty good rate of fire, and only a marginal damage drop-off range. It also has an excellent magazine capacity compared to most pump-action shotguns. Its only downside is its rather slow reload time, but thanks to the large magazine capacity, this can be handled. A great gun for sudden engagements. I actually like this one.
That's a lot of shells.
Then there's the ITA-12S shotgun. Yes, you heard that right. This is one of her secondaries. Mira has a smaller version of her primary shotgun as a secondary. So obviously you might think, okay, double the shotgun action, right? Yeah, well, problem. We talked about this one with Frost's video already, but I'll say it again. I do not like this gun overall. It has high damage per pellet, true, but the pellet dispersal and damage drop-off are terrible, making this gun far more effective at clearing obstacles or breaking through walls and actually killing the enemy. Not my go-to choice. What I would use this weapon for more than anything is to make a quick entryway or exit through a wall if you need to make a quick escape or get somewhere quickly, or if you need to open up a viewing hole that's next to your reinforced wall to see something. Otherwise, don't use this gun. Not good for combat.
Last operator standing. Your location.
And finally, her last secondary, the USP-40 handgun. It's mostly unremarkable. It has a low recoil and decent damage output, but not the best magazine capacity. I'd argue it's a better killing tool than the small shotgun, though, so take that for what it's worth. If you got to carry around a secondary that you want to kill with, go with the handgun, not the shotgun. But it's okay. It does all right for what it needs to do, but there are definitely better handguns in the game.
Been here a while. Any revelations yet? EDD Prime status clear.
The best strategy I would offer with Mira is patience, okay? You do not have the speed, nor do you have the range to be a sharpshooter or a lurker. What I would recommend is use your Miras on locations where operators are most likely to pass, but not at the locations they can easily enter. Work with Bandit, Cade, or Mute to prevent your reinforced walls from being broken easily, and also leave a wall available to shoot through. Like I said, you don't have the speed or range to be a sharpshooter or a lurker, so your best chance is to let them get in close with the shotgun and Vector. You can then shred your prey as they come in close to deal with your mirror. As I've said before many times in many ways, Rainbow Six Siege is not an exact science. You need to think carefully about what you do and how you do it. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, but know that I'm speaking from the experience I've had as a casual among casuals. So, final conclusion about Mira. I actually like her. I really do like her lore. It's simplistic, but it's actually kind of creative. There are things about it that I think really work. I like the idea that we're looking at things from an R&D specialist perspective. I think that understanding the woman behind the gadgets and machines is neat. I think that she's got a really cool outlook on everyone's gadget, and the fact that she knows what everyone is working with and can apply her own ideas and mechanical skills to them means that she plays a fundamental role in Rainbow. But I do have a problem with her. I do have one problem with her. It's minor, but, well, actually, it's not even minor. I'd say it's a big problem, but it's one you might not have even thought of, and I said I'd come to it later. But the fact that Harry wanted her to go into field work. Look, I get it. She was with the police. She was with the special forces. I get it, okay? I'm not averse to the fact that she has been in combat. But if she's your head of R&D, you don't want to risk her life, okay? I think you want her in the lab, in the garage, working on stuff. Don't put her in the line of fire, because here's the problem. If she dies, if you lose Mira, you're out your R&D specialist, and now you got to find a new one and get them up to speed. Honestly, I would say Mira is too valuable for you to put on the field like that, or at least to put her in a position where she could die that easily. I'm not questioning her skill, I'm questioning the practicality of that decision. I think she is an excellent operator, I think she has plenty of skill at her disposal, I'm not denying any of that. What I am saying is that it is far smarter to keep her on the back lines where her R&D skills can be put to the best use. I think she even realized this herself after the Nighthaven split, and so that she could step back and say, you know what, Nighthaven has all of our information, we don't have any of theirs, I need to up my game so that they don't top us, I'm going to work on this. I also do like that she has a rivalry with Ash. I look at that, for those of you 40k nerds out there, I look at it almost like in the Horus Heresy novels when Horus Lupercal and Rogel Dorn were talking, because Rogel Dorn is the best at building up reinforcements and reinforcing a structure, whereas Horus Lupercal is a master of siege tactics and breaking down stuff. I look at it like Ash is Horus Lupercal, Rogel Dorn is Mira, and it's just like the ultimate in terms of breaking down obstacles versus the ultimate in terms of holding off enemies, you know? I just look at these two and think, yeah, that's kind of the dynamic. But the thing is, I think that they do get along. I think Ash is a natural leader for her attacking team. Mira's a natural leader for her defending team. I think that they just work very well and have a really good synergy off of each other. And I take personal satisfaction in knowing that Mira hates Osa. I think that's lovely. I actually like that a lot because I don't like Osa. We'll get to her video sometime in the future, I'm sure, and you'll see what about her annoys the heck out of me. And when you see what Osa brings to the table in terms of her gadget, knowing that Mira and her don't get along suddenly makes it even more beautiful. But we'll get to that in another video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys are excited to hear about Mira. Next up is going to be our boy Mavu Woowick, and I really look forward to making his video. But thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will see you in my next video. Take care.